Joey, and I'm joined by Paul.
All right, mate.
And Neil.
Hello.
This week we're going to change tack by talking further about something that we talked about before we came on air. Can you say on air for a podcast? It's not worth debating. What is worth debating is, Neil, you've never burped.
It's a true story.
I'm still trying to work out whether
it's
whether this is a wind-up that's gone terribly wrong, but you're really sticking to it.
Yeah, I'm committing to this, because unless things are coming out of my mouth which I don't know are burps, no, I don't know. Just never happened.
I can burp almost on request.
Yeah,
that's the thing I don't understand. Where does this noise come from?
There we go. Yeah.
There we go.
That's it. Yeah.
It's just like air in your body that you just exhaust.
Or maybe it's just like seeping out my ears or something without me knowing.
Yeah,
or other outlets, as I did say.
What about hiccups?
Oh God, no! I'm rife with hiccups, especially on a night out.
Oh really?
One of those idiot lads just wandering around hiccuping all night.
Is that because you only drink Foster's?
Paul, you may just have cracked it.
I can't drink Foster's without then just descending into burps. Hiccups, sorry.
I thought you were better than Foster's. I'm surprised to hear you admit that you drink Foster's ever.
I haven't drunk Foster's since this revelation came to me about 10 years ago.
The great hiccups of 2002. Oh God.
Yeah, it was a bit like that. It was like, why do I always hiccup when I have... it's not gas.
How did it go as a scientific experiment? Did you knock it on the head and then it stopped and...
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That happened to me, because I had a lion bar once, and I said twice, and I was sick both times, and I haven't had one since, even though I really like lion bars.
That's annoying.
I know, it's killing me.
That's a big decision to make after only 2 lion bars.
I don't know, I was violently sick. My body just it exploded.
How are you with a toffee crisp? Which is effectively like a waferless lion bar.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm fine with those.
Oh. What about with other wafers? I don't want to sound like a doctor or anything.
Wafers are good. It's like a combination of all the wafers plus nut plus nougat. No, it's no nougat. I don't know. Lion bars.
Yeah, so you listen to the Neil Hampton Show, the nominally football podcast. I think you could probably tell that we're not going to... I don't think any of us are even really in the mood for this, or... I don't think... Paul, you and I were at the game on Saturday, but I, for one, don't remember any of it, and I've just watched the highlights.
Yeah.
I mean...
It was a rather pleasant experience, I thought.
If we watch it, are we contractually obliged to start with Moments of the Week? Because I'm not sure any of us have had one for about the last 6 weeks.
Well, it depends. It all depends what you class as Moment of the Week. If Moment of the Week are things that have pissed you off in the last 7 days, I've got hundreds of those.
But boil it down to the worst one for us.
I'm beginning to get rather annoyed by the general lies that people seem to be trying to tell me. And I'm getting a bit... I know you sort of point these things out and you're sort of right, but Mowbray's interview today where it was, I didn't need 2 centre-halves, but I got 2 centre-halves, but I had Sam Ricketts and it's like, Sam Ricketts was playing all right at centre-half, not brilliantly, but all right. You didn't need to bring in 2 centre-halves because you had 2 right-backs. You basically just made Sam Ricketts your third right-back. So you had 3 right-backs just so you could bring in 2 centre-halves. One of which, and I know I didn't go to Port Vale, but one of which wasn't that good anyway. And as soon as he got injured and Aaron Martin came in, our defence looked slightly better. So it's just things, now I've realised I needed to bring in another attacking fast winger. And it's like, well, and then it's, my squad isn't deep enough. You've got quite a big squad. It's just quite a lot of the players you brought in recently have been shit. You know, you've got the squad. Stephen Hunt is there. The fact you don't want to use him, you've got Lawrenson, the right back, who you've now decided is third choice right back again. It's like you bought these players in recently and then decided they're not that good.
Can we talk about Stephen Hunt's hair?
Yeah, why not?
Has anybody seen it?
Yeah, we got a close-up HD view, didn't we, at the weekend?
He was on the
Channel 5. I'm not sure how that can happen.
I don't know, because it went...
That's all natural, isn't it?
Say again?
it's all natural, Kieran was saying. He just cut his hair one day and then that happened.
But I seem to remember, and I've talked about this with Paul a number of times, my eyesight ain't great, and that I can never really distinguish who's who on a football field, which makes me poorly placed to be a pundit on a football podcast. However, I'm pretty sure that the last time I saw him, he had got something akin to a bald monk-style top of head with like a sort of like a bit going on at the front and sort of a little bit on the sides, but then like a flowing mane at the back. And that has transformed into what looks like a plausible, believable haircut.
I don't remember the first haircut you described.
It was towards just before he got what you would describe as a sort of, like I say, like an actual haircut. That from afar is pretty much how he looked. Paul, am I going mental? It's entirely possible that I've dreamt that.
Yeah, I just don't really. Stephen Hunt's not one of the people who I've been paying that much attention to be honest.
He'd struggle to, I guess, given that he's probably not made it to 90 minutes yet.
Well, it's a bit like when we signed Darius Henderson. It's like I saw a picture of him close up and thought, I know I've seen him play a lot, but if Darius Henderson walked past me in the street, I wouldn't have known what he looked like. And I know Stephen Hunt's slightly different because he had that shaggy hair, but since he sort of shaved his shaggy hair off, I haven't really been paying that much attention to him.
Do you think he might have lost his powers at that point?
I think he lost his powers a long, long time ago, but has just latterly shaved off his hair.
Neil, have you got a moment of the week?
Yeah, I have. 6 loans, 5 loans. What's going on? You were at the match, so I don't know if you saw the sort of hoopla that happened on Twitter before the match when they announced the team, and everybody realised we're doing the count. It's like there's too many loans there, but it wasn't even hard to figure out. We just sort of did a count and like, hang on, there's too many loans. Within like a second, everybody was bombarding the club, and I just sort of I don't quite understand how a professional football team whose job is to assess virtually every single facet of your team before the match lets that one slip. And it was just kind of washed under the carpet. I don't know. You sweep it under the carpet as just a mistake. Oh, these things happened. He forgot there are loans, but I didn't forget straight away. And it's not my job to remember. That was crap. That was really bad, I thought.
They've talked about it so much.
It's the first thing you check. Who's the loan who's missed out? Who's missed out? And it's just like, I forgot that Maddison wasn't that player. I forgot that Jody Jones hadn't signed. You're the one who sits there in the photos and takes make him sign the contract. You should know if he's signed or not. I just thought that symbolised how sort of lacking in sort of care, really, that we are at the moment. Nobody cares. And they hadn't prepared at all.
No, and that's... Go on.
I saw someone put on... We were a laughing stock, and then okay, maybe that's a bit extreme. And then I just thought it's also extremely bad that you don't really know who are our players anymore. And I sort of on the way back we listened to the phone in Mowbray's explanation, and it was just a bit like, no, that doesn't really wash. You really should know what's going on, especially as all you're doing at the moment is talking about next season. You should know who are going to be here and who our players are. It's not really good enough to just sort of, it was an honest mistake. But also, and they sort of, when does Mowbray then pick his squad and his team? Does he just pick it on the bus?
On the coach?
Is it, on the bus up, like, I'll pick the team today.
Just see who's around.
Yeah, surely you must have just, it's like, you would have thought on the Friday or the Thursday they're sort of working with that team. But there again, I saw the game, and now dawns on me, maybe that's why we looked so incoherent against Wigan, is because they didn't know who was going to be playing alongside them until kick-off.
What I can't understand is how many people, you've got a squad, you've got fitness people, you've got, the coaches and everything. Not one person thought to say, Tony, got a problem here, mate. At some point on the way up. And it's like, how can it slide when every fan noticed it straight away? And yet you've got the players all sat playing away, I'm not going to mention that I'm on loan, I'll see if it works out or not. It's just, I can't fathom it. It just makes no sense to me.
But like you say, it's almost like the concentration and the focus has completely gone, hasn't it?
Yeah, that's it.
I would say... I liked the fact that I can't remember his name. The lad from the Nike Academy, is he Bilal something?
Yeah.
I like the fact that he might be setting a new record for us for least amount of time a player has joined before he's played out of position. He's a wide player, I believe, that is in the youth team who was thrown straight in at left back inexplicably.
Oh, God.
I was impressed
what is with
with
us and
that.
left backs?
But I am going to steal Paul's thunder a little bit, and I think in the sort of shitness of all this, I think we should try and look at what is positive. And I think that over Christmas-ish, I think the thing that I had said was that I would focus on signing a goalkeeper and an experienced goalkeeper to give us the best chance of going up. I thought that was the area where, more than anything else, I could see us dropping. And actually, I've been proven really wildly wrong, I'd say. I think actually he played himself out of that poor performance period and has gone on over the last few weeks to be one of the only bright sparks in that team. And me and Paul had an argument about it on Saturday about whether you'd have him as player of the season. But what I think, whether you'd go that far or not, I think he's one of the few players that can finish the season with his head held high. And I think that he did it again. It was a good save for the penalty on Saturday. And I think he has played himself back into form and has done a good job since. And I wouldn't say amazing, but has done a really, really good job. And I think fair play to him. I think that takes a lot of balls for a young goalkeeper like that to come back, especially at a time where everyone else don't give a shit. So I'm going to, my moment of the week in some sort of abstract, conceptual way that we sort of use this as mention something worthwhile.
Yes.
I'm giving moment of the week to the perceived improved form of
the concept of RCC.
Yeah. So that's that. Paul, talk to us about Wigan.
We went to Wigan, and Wigan are obviously top of the table. Before the game, they were on a 90-match unbeaten streak, and they look like a team that sort of know what they're trying to achieve.
What was it? Was it your first jaunt there?
No, it was my. I believe it's my third. I believe I've been there every time we played there since they've moved to what was the JJB and is now the DW Stadium.
I hated it.
Oh, it's it's basically just three identical stands, and there's no atmosphere. But you knew that we were playing Wigan. But I'm not. I'm not a massive fan of Wigan. They're a club that were once hailed as some sort of magical fairy tale, but they were just financed by a very rich man, and they're basically just a poor man's version of Chelsea or Man City, whichever way you want to look at it. But, fair play to them. They gave Gary Caldwell the job, and he's taken to it because, I don't know, one of the big things that came out of the game afterwards was, especially on the phone, was like, their budget's bigger than ours and all this sort of jazz. And it's like, yeah, their budget is bigger than ours, but, Colchester's budget isn't bigger than ours, and they've beaten us recently. Rochdale's budget isn't bigger than ours, and they've beaten us recently. Yep. So Fleetwood's budget isn't bigger than ours, and they've beaten us recently. So I'm not going to put any of this down to the fact that we didn't have enough money. Yep. Wigan beat us because they were the better side.
Yeah.
And we played a revolutionary tactic, which was a flat back four with two defensive midfielders. And then Marcus Tudkai playing quite a deep-lying central midfield role with Winslow alongside him, with Armstrong normally as a left winger and everyone's new favourite player, Joby Jones, as normally a right winger. So
just to clarify that,
some sort of attacking players.
Just clarify that for listeners who might not have seen the lineup. You described Marcus Tudkai as being a deep-lying central midfield player. He wasn't a defensive midfielder. He was like a deep-lying attacking midfielder-ish. I think you mean deep-lying striker in midfield, sort of. Is that right?
No, I mean he was a deep-lying central midfielder. Basically, I think at one point he might have got 10 yards in front of John Fleck, but then his nose started to bleed, and he started to panic, and he looked around and thought, where the fuck am I? And then quickly retreated back to his defensive role.
So I don't want to sound like Celine Dion, but it's all coming back to me now. He weren't playing as a central midfielder, but he was. I mean, the entire team were horrendously deep, weren't they? Apart from, ironically, Roman Vincelow, who was deployed as number 10 that day. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean,
it's what's it? It's like I'm recovering from a coma, and it started to. I like piecing the bits back together. It properly like the madness of King Tony, insane, wasn't it?
well, I came to a conclusion I came to a realisation the other day. One of the things that obviously we lack, and I don't want to go to the Jim O'Brien thing again, but I'm going to. One thing we lack when Jim O'Brien wasn't playing or isn't playing is we lack a certain amount of physicality and work rate out of the attacking four. Now you can replace that physicality with Tudguy or Henderson or Fortunate if you wish, but those three players have certain flaws. One of their major flaws is the fact they're not particularly dynamic or mobile. Tudguy's more mobile than the other pair, but even he's not really a workaholic in the way that Jim O'Brien was. And I think what they're trying to do with having Winslow higher up the pitch is to give them, or try and give the team a way of winning the ball back higher up the pitch, which is fine, as ideas go. It's not the worst in the world. The problem is, he's a defence midfielder playing nominally as number 10, which, when you look at the squad and you think, oh, it's such a weak squad. We've only got one of the finest number 10s England's produced over the last 20 years sat on the bench. If only we had someone who could play in that attacking midfield role that didn't rely on Roman Winslow. But no, we go with Winslow, which is why I think I had a look at this. In the last 15 games, we've scored 12 goals. And you think, that's not bad. That's nearly a goal a game. 6 of those were in one game. So in the other 14 games, we scored 6 goals. And it's just like...
Yeah, sorry, and I would just quickly clarify, 12 goals in 15 games, that isn't, that's not bad, that's nearly one a game. That's awful. Before the 6 come... even if you were kind and you took 4 out of it to say it was a 2-0 win, that's crazy.
Well, you see, the other thing I realise is, and I don't want to spoil anything for people who have waited until this moment to find out what the Wigan score was. If you exclude the Peterborough game because we watched it on TV, in the last 5 games I've been to watch us live, I haven't seen a score. And I don't, I'm trying to think of shots we had against Wigan. We had the obligatory joke,
John Fleck
35 yards.
Yeah.
And we had the obligatory Mark Fortuné, is it a cross? Is it a shot? I don't know. I don't think he knows. It didn't go in. And other than that, Armstrong is just, whether or not he's wasted out on the wing is up for debate. The guy's just not getting any chances. And we've taken all creativity away from him. Because, again, the other thing you take out when you take away Jim O'Brien is he was creating chances and goals.
Yeah.
When you don't start with Jacob Murphy, you don't create many chances. He's our highest assist. And I do like... And I feel... Okay, I don't want to slag off Joby Jones, so don't take this as me slagging him off.
I love how you called him Joby Jones.
But at the moment, the lad is he's beaten the occasional player and then trying too hard to impress. And he hasn't actually, in the 3.5 games, played that pass. And he's very much doing a Ryan Kent where it's like, that's really nifty footwork, but please can you just try and pick a pass every now and then instead of just getting tackled?
Do you remember when we were doing...
That sounds really harsh, but it's just...
No, I don't think it's harsh because I don't think you're criticising him. I think it's just I think it's fair. I think he looks exciting, but I can't help but think about when we signed Carl Baker in January that season that we were wank, and he came in and we were so bad that Baker just sort of running a bit. Everyone was like, "Coy, he's amazing." He's an 18-year-old lad. He shouldn't be perfect. We've been told he's not perfect. You're absolutely right to say those things, but he's also right to be in that position of his career, isn't he?
Well, that's because this is the other thing that slightly annoys me. It's like we have to pick Adam Armstrong because he can score a goal out of nothing, and you're like, well, that's fine. But that's literally how we're going to score goals at the moment, is if someone creates something out of nothing.
Yeah.
And I'm not Roberto Martinez's biggest fan. And I found it quite interesting when Leighton Baines came out recently, and basically, I don't think the team has any chemistry, and we're relying on individuals. And if anything sums Coventry City up, it's that. I don't feel. Well, we talked about this quite a bit, and we've talked about this over the 4 years we've done this pod. Is combinations of players, and then sort of the way that they interact and the way they work together, and how that makes teams better. And I was ill on Monday, so I had the day off work, and I spent the morning sort of looking at some things. And you just look at the amount of changes he's made to the front four, and it's just incredible. And I worked out on forced changes versus unforced changes. And it's just every game, we went through about 15 games, we had to change 2 players. But it wasn't just a case of he changed the right wing and the left wing. It moved some people around, so there was no continuity. And I think that's where you've got to at the moment, where I don't think anyone knows what our best 11 is anymore. I don't think anyone's got a clue where you'd play Jacob Murphy in that side at the moment, whether you'd play him on one wing or the other or behind the striker, because his confidence has gone. But we've sort of ruined it for him because we haven't allowed him to settle down recently. We've moved him from right wing to left wing. And it's also, you're playing this, and again, it's slightly different from the Wigan game, because Wigan were a good team. Trying to get a 0-0 draw against Wigan isn't the worst idea in the world. But the thing is, once we went behind, and this annoys me. It's like, we matched them during the first half. We might even have been the better side. No, we weren't. It was pretty even in the first half, with Wigan being slightly better. And it was like, they scored during their only 5 minutes of dominance. They dominated for 5 minutes. They scored. They then looked at us and went, they're not going to score against us. And basically, you got the feeling that Wigan were just in second gear, going, we don't need to score 3 or 4 because one's going to do. And then John Fleck, being John Fleck, decides to hack someone down in the area. What came as Criders, no apparent reason at all. But thankfully, Reece Charles Cook bailed him out of that one. But it's like, you look at it, it's like, well, we're playing Ricketts at left back now, which is just ridiculous because he's just woeful. But is he really worse? Is he really better than Ryan Haynes at left back? Surely, playing Ryan Haynes, when Stokes got injured like 4 games ago, we could have had 11 games of Ryan Haynes at left back. Surely that's more beneficial to us than having him on loan somewhere else.
Yeah.
And it's just like that.
And he did well when he came in for earlier in the season, didn't he? When Stokes got pushed to centre half and he went to left back, I thought he did well.
That's a great little unit, I thought.
Yeah.
I don't think that defence actually lost the game.
No.
I don't think it did, because the last game that defence played together was Walsall, which they drew, and he broke that defence up to bring in Ramage, which then lost against Burton.
When you do the post-mortem of this season, I wonder how close that'll be to the biggest crack. Like the biggest problem was Peter Ramage. I've been really interested in it. I'm trying my hardest to try and work out what's caused this, decline down the table. Or, is it the injuries? And Rayner Johnson started the first 12 games, and I think in those first 12, we picked up 22 points. In the next 12, after he got injured, we picked up 21 points. So, but you're doing bad. Hang on a second. Aren't you doing bad science here? Because what you're doing is you're looking at one bit and not all the variables that sit around it.
No. But basically, all that happened was at the start. The defence at the start of the season was Willis, Rayner Johnson, Ricketts, and Stokes. When I think after 4 games, Willis gets injured, and the team cope with that. Ricketts basically moves to right back, and Martin comes in, and Martin plays really well. Then Rayner Johnson gets injured. Ricketts moves to centre half. Phillips comes in at right back, and the defence is still pretty settled. And the only thing that breaks that defence up is Ben Turner gets brought in. And the actual Ben Turner coming in, I thought Ben Turner coming in made a massive difference to the results. It didn't. our results didn't change much with Ben Turner coming in and then Ben Turner getting injured.
But we were that was at the peak of when we were doing really well anyway, wasn't it? So it's not like they could have improved much.
We weren't losing or anything, were we?
Yeah.
No, we weren't losing, but also, so basically, if you actually look at that Ben Turner getting injured didn't actually, again, impact on the results. When he went out, all that happened was Phillips went back to right back and Ricketts went back to centre half. And that defensive four was pretty good. Like, it wasn't perfect, but it was a good four. And then that four basically could have stayed together until he decided. No, Martin got injured, and he put Stokes at left back, Stokes centre half, and Haynes at left back. And that defensive four was all right. It wasn't brilliant, and we knew that they needed to bring someone in. But that defensive four wasn't that bad either. It only starts to go downhill when Ramage comes in for those 3 games, which we lost all 3. And then when Stevens and Cargill comes in. Cargill, I think, played 5 games. We only won 1 of them. I think we lost 3 or lost the other 4. Cargill getting injured wasn't... And then, Cargill getting injured. So that wasn't a particularly bad thing because he got injured, but Martin came back in. And I think Martin's probably up there for one of the players of the year. If you actually think about what's happened over
his contribution when he's played. And you think about his starting point for the season where everyone wanted him dead. I think I still think... Go on.
No, sorry, go on.
No, I think I think it's difficult, isn't it? Because I think this season's been so odd that the sort of the criteria for marking people is all over the place, isn't it? If you think about it in terms of how the heights of which he's played, he wouldn't be anywhere near. But if you look at it as consistency, then yeah, probably. But I don't know what criteria it's on, or whether it's ever on criteria, or people just pick who they like the most.
No, that's fine. But also, so what I looked at the players who I found were changes which were tactical changes or decisions which had to be made, or which were the managerial's choice against decisions that had to be made. For instance, we had an injury. In the first 18 games, we didn't touch the back 4 unless there was an injury. We only started to prat around with the back 4 when he fell out of favour with Aaron Phillips and he started moving Ricketts around and he brought in Lawrenson. And it's like, well, what was the point of that? What was the point of having Lawrenson here at all? Is he going to sign him on for next season? Because you would have thought if they were going to do that, they would have done that by now. So, what was the point of his 5 appearances for us? Because I don't see him being that much better or that much worse than Phillips. And it's just like, and then he's been dropped, and now he's like second choice right back. And it's just, there's been lots of those decisions since Christmas where we seem to have brought in players who don't seem to have been good enough or don't seem to have got the favour of Mowbray that they've forced their way into the team. And then we're going to have to discuss this because this really gets on my tits. What is the point of Joe Cole playing defensive midfield? Andy Turner, I don't know what game you're watching, but when you go, Wigan were trying to get Joe Cole sent off. No, the only person trying to get Joe Cole sent off was 5 minutes after the ball had gone sliding tackle, Joe Cole. He was trying his hard. He got booked and then did 3 tackles, which I think for any other game were a booking. But he managed to stay on the pitch. It was just, what are you doing? The guy he must look at it and go, what am I doing here? Because I'm now playing defensive midfield in a team that can't score. It destroys your soul watching A, a clueless set of players aimlessly run around the pitch, but B, seeing sort of Joe Cole's quality, and you're like, why are you passing it to our left back? Why is that your only option? That you've got to play 1-2s with Sam Ricketts. It's just, this isn't why you came here. You didn't come here to, and it's why is no one going to Mowbray? Why are you playing Joe Cole as a defensive midfielder? Why is no one asking that question?
I think it's only you that cares anymore.
I think that must be it because no one's asking him. No one's going. We can't score a goal. You've got Joe Cole, one of the premier number 10s this country's produced in the last 10 years, and you're playing him 20 yards in front of your own goal and nowhere near the opposition's goal. What you expecting him to do there? It's just fucking pointless.
Paul, you have gone full network.
I said, very few things enjoying watching Cov at the moment. You like to think one of them might be watching Joe Cole, and then you see that happen. You're like, well, it's worrying that's where we're playing him, and that seems to be. I don't know. I'd love him to explain it. He might be explaining it. I might go, oh yeah, okay. I don't accept your argument, but I understand your argument. But just making a substitution to bring Joe Cole on and then playing him as a defence midfielder alongside John Fleck, it's like, isn't one John Fleck enough for any team?
Wow, let's talk about that for a second. Neil, is John Fleck enough for John Fleck?
I don't quite understand the question, but yes.
We were talking beforehand, weren't we, I think, about So I think there was this ludicrous story in Telegraph about... and I don't blame the Telegraph, it was ludicrous because of the fact that Mowbray was talking about it, saying that he was in talks, which is another one of them brilliant football parlance things where nobody's ever really in talks unless it's football, are they? To look at extending his contract. But that's not going to happen in a million years, is it?
No, we know what the talk is. It's just like him asking, John, what are you doing in the summer? There we go.
I want £1 million a week. Okay, that's fine. Off you go. Go and join some middling championship club who, curiously, you won't look out of depth in the championship, but you'll still only be good if the rest of the team is good. The question to you in real life is what's it is. Would you keep him if you had the opportunity to?
I would. I don't see what a lot of people see. And I can only judge based on the matches I watch, which are mostly the home ones. I don't get to see... I can't be asked to see those away games that you have to endure. But in my mind, he's our best player. And now he makes mistakes, but so's everybody else. So that's not what I'm judging him on. I just think I'm not going to judge him on the last few games because everybody's playing crap. I like John Fleck. I think he's a really good player. He's good on the ball. No, he can't tackle very well. But I think when you start to focus on something, we always talk about this, but when you start to focus on something, you're desperately searching for validation. And I think a lot of time people are starting to focus on John Fleck thinking, oh, he's not playing well. And it almost exasperates it. I'm not saying he is playing well, but I'm just saying I think there's become too much of a focus on him being a poor player on a team. And actually, when I see it, he's still one of the shining lights in terms of quality on that pitch compared to everybody else. Still buggers up all the time, but there's still more quality in John Fleck than I see in anybody else on that pitch.
I think that's a fair shout, and I don't think there's a right or wrong answer to it. And I think my problem is that I'm not sure when you're not performing. What I really need is a player of his quality to drag the squad up. And I don't feel he does. I feel he drags them down. I think that and maybe it is the games that you see, because the Barnsley away game especially, he just couldn't pass wind, and it was a little bit like you, in fact. But you just think, you poor bastard, because I don't know what it is. I don't know whether it's mental but ultimately I don't see a place for him anymore. I see him. We've been here 4 years, and really I think he's had 2 half seasons that have been good, and admittedly when he's been good he's been absolutely brilliant, but it's one of them things. If he's performing well in a team that's performing well, really all that good?
I mean, it's a strong argument, because the whole 4-year thing, that does make a lot of sense. It's kind of, is it time to change it around? Is it time to say, look, John, you're not going to be the player that we want you to be in the middle of the field, so we're just going to cut our ties and let you do what you want in your career, and we'll go our own separate ways. The problem I've got is the comparison between John Fleck and then somebody else coming in. Now, I think this is where
you haven't seen Vladimir Gerchev yet.
Oh, well, there we go. And I think this is where my view might stray from other people's, because I don't think there are many better players than him, and I can't argue that in any other way than just my view. I watch him play football. I see a very good footballer there, and okay, he makes mistakes, but they all do at this level. And I just see a good footballer, and the idea that Biggie would become a John Fleck replacement, it just makes me want to vomit.
Neil, can I just ask a question? What is his position, and what does he bring to the team?
His position is the one that he's playing this season, the deep line midfielder, and he brings to the team passing and control that I don't think anybody else has. And I know you'll come back to me and say, look, we saw him at Barnsley and he couldn't pass.
No. That I wasn't even going to. My argument is that's fine. We're playing someone whose main job it is then to just basically move the ball from one player to another. That's fine. But defensively, I think we all agree he doesn't add a lot. He doesn't score. He doesn't create goals. So,
I think he does.
Well,
maybe not directly, but I think he does from early in the season. We always have to keep going on that because that's our only frame of reference of when we were actually good. He kept the attack moving from where defence to attacks, as quickly as anybody. He was that visionary. He was the one giving the ball to the wing quicker than anybody else was, and he was working well with Vincela. And I hate the fact that we're so crap now because it just invalidates all my arguments. But when I see him play that well, and it was for a long period of time, him and Vincela were great for the first part of the season. And I just don't know what's going on now, because everybody is bad. Jacob Murphy's bad. Armstrong's bad. All these players on the pitch at the moment are bad. They're all playing poorly, but you'd still want to keep some of them because of what you think they are as a player. And it's if someone offered you Armstrong, you'd say, yeah, I'd have him next year, definitely. That'd be amazing. But the fact is, he's only really played well a handful of games.
Yeah, I sort of accept that. I just think I don't think his passing is as great as others do. I think he's come
on.
I think he's a technically very gifted player, and he's very good at. Bloody hell! Liverpool seem to be winning 5-4 now.
I'm watching it. It's they're winning. Yeah, they win 5-4 on aggregate.
Yeah,
it's been quite something. Last time we did a podcast, I watched the Juventus Bayern Munich game. I'm only ever watching football while we're talking about Cov.
So you've seen more goals in that game than you would if you win the last 30 commentary games. I just think that he's a luxury player in a team which is fine when you're winning games, and his distribution is fine when we're on top. And I've now seen him for 4 years, and I've seen him during our best spells at both Sixfields and at the Rico, where he was really good. And then I've seen him for the other 3 years where we've been pretty average and he's been pretty shite. And I just think that some players, just whether they're technically good enough, you just need more than they give you, and I don't think he gives enough. I just think he's a fair weather player, and fair weather players don't get you promoted. You need people who are prepared to win games which are difficult to win, and I don't think John Fleck gives us that. Now, I'm not saying that Big is the answer either. I don't know who the answer is. I think
we all know the answer.
I think in the way that we play the 4-2-3-1 is, I think I'd rather have a similar player to Vincelo, who was very good at defending and maybe keeping more clean sheets, and having two flying wingers or flying fullbacks who they're good at covering and having distribution the other way. I think almost Mowbray, in trying to get Fleck on the ball, has overly complicated our tactics at times this season, when he's been doing that, Fleck moves into a left-back role, and our left-back goes into the left wing, we do this, and it's like, yeah, that's great, but then you're trying to get, Fleck to play 60-yard passes. If he can't find space when the opposition are making it tight, there's no point bringing him further away, further back to get on the ball and, making 60-yard incredible passes. What you need is that player to be able to find space regardless of the situation. Because at the end of the day, we are at League One. If he was that good, he'd be able to find the space and time. And I just think the second half of the season, while there are other players who I agree...
All of the players.
Yeah.
All of the players have been bad.
No, I think that's unfair. As I said, people like Aaron Martin, who I don't think has been bad.
He's barely played second half of the season. He's come in and he's had about 3-4 games, hasn't he?
I think in the second half of the season, he's probably played about 8 or 9.
He got injured at New Year, didn't he?
Yeah.
He came back about a month ago.
Yeah, I'm with Neil on this one.
I think Jack Stevens has looked pretty alright since he's come in. And he's played, I think, 11 games on the bounce.
Oh, I forgot about the pretty alright ones.
Well,
I'm only joking.
But the thing, but no one's claiming Jack Stevens is a brilliant footballer. It's like, the problem with Fleck is you get these two extremes where it's like, well, he's technically brilliant. It's like, well, he is, but at League One level. I mean,
that's all we need.
That's the thing is, it's like, we'll see where his career goes after he leaves Carve. It would be interesting to see how he does get on in the Championship. Because surely the final thing is, if he has got anything about him, he wouldn't want to stay at League One at Coventry next season.
Not anymore. Definitely not, no. Why would you stay somewhere where it's quite clearly stagnant and we're already preparing for failure next year?
Yeah.
It's a waste of time.
No, I agree with that. So I just think in 5 years' time, John Fleck would be another one of those players like, well, he could have been a better player than he was.
Yeah,
he may be. And if we're doing this pod in 5 years, we can probably have the same discussion and see what. I
feel like this conversation's gone on for 5 years.
Oh God, imagine that. I don't disagree with your perception of what's going on, and I think there's loads of sound reasons why you wouldn't want John Fleck in your team, because a lot of it just comes down to perspective and what you want from footballers. And we have to come back to the ultimate, you don't like David Beckham and I do kind of argument, and there's an extreme argument, but there are plenty of people in this world who think David Beckham's a really, really good footballer. And I know you think that was misjudged. And I just think that I look at all the managers who manage John Fleck. They all put him in the team. They all want to play around him because they know what he's capable of. And that's maybe we're sort of warped in our mindset because we're fans and we expect them to be different. And we can't rationalise quite as easy because when they're shit, they're bloody shit and we hate them. But
again, that's not strictly true because Mark Robbins didn't play him.
There we go. There was a period, but he was barely here for time, wasn't he? I mean, he was.
Yeah.
So I think he actually developed a winning unit, which didn't.
Yeah. He developed a winning unit and didn't pick John Fleck.
But he didn't bugger around. Any manager can create a winning unit. You can win when you've got a crap team on there. It's about stumbling on the right thing, and that's what actually Mowbray's trying to do at the moment. It's not a science. A lot of it's just down to combinations on the pitch and actually building trust.
But I also, the thing that interests me recently, especially about what Mowbray said, Mowbray seems to put, and I think it probably is different if you're a football manager. One of the things he said recently is, all fans look at is the result, and I think in training, apparently the reason he signed Stephen Hunt was that he looked brilliant in training. And you're like, well, training isn't the same as playing an actual 90 minutes game of football in League One.
Yeah, that's true.
And I can imagine John Fleck's awesome in training, and I bet he's unbelievable in training. And it's like having that, then transferring that into what we actually see on the pitch. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe John Fleck is a wonderful player, but he's just playing alongside shit players, and we're dragging him down to our level, which is fine. But I still just look at the guy and just think, you make quite a lot of really odd passes. And if I was making a centre midfield partnership, I'd always have one player who could drag us forward. And I don't see that in him. I don't see that will in him. I never have seen that will in him. I don't see the personality there who really wants to influence games. And we've always discussed it, the fact he doesn't take free kicks and corners. It's like, you've got the technical ability. Why aren't you putting yourself forward? What are you hiding from? And it's that sort of... The second half against Walsall really hammered it home, where he was abysmal. In that second half, where we really needed everyone to stand up and okay, we won the first half because we were the better team. The second half, we're going to have to win through something other than our technical ability. We're going to have to stand up now and show what we are. And in that second half, he was shit. He just couldn't compete. Like, Walsall just walked all over him. And you were like, that's when I wanted you to stand up. Not when it was a game of football, when it was a game of personality, a game of mental strength. You wilted as quick as anyone. And I don't think those players get teams promoted.
We done on John Fleck? Go on, Neil.
No, I was just going to say I have no rebuttal. You know, I can't. My judgment isn't based around those things. I'm not looking for the same things as you, basically. So, yeah, it's fine. You got in anyway. So, what are we worried about?
You say tomato. You say tomato. What do we do next? Have we got anything else you want to talk about, Wigan boys?
No, it was quite funny when Wigan fans were taking the piss out of us for having Fortune up front.
What were they doing?
They were basically singing, "You're so shit, you've got Fortune up front." Or how shit must you be? You've got Fortune.
Oh yeah.
Which was just like, yeah,
yeah.
We are that shit. We have Fortune up front.
Fair play,
I do feel really sorry for Adam Armstrong, who just looks like a beaten man.
At least it answers the question: should Adam Armstrong have gone back to Newcastle in January? This Adam Armstrong doesn't look equipped to kickstart a Newcastle fight back, does he?
Oh, just bless him. He just looks like he doesn't. I think he must look. As I said, he must look around and go, where have the people who are going to create me chances gone?
Yeah. I don't think there's anybody who loves him more than I do. I just think he's even. I think I need the season to be over to properly objectively judge it. But I think I don't think will be the favourite of mine compared to someone like Wilson, who was homegrown. But I just think technical ability wise, the things that he could do and the way that he could carve out goals for himself earlier in the season, and his ability to finish from pretty much anywhere in the world, there were moments this season that he's brought us that have been genuinely breathtaking, and I think he's absolutely brilliant. But this second half of the season, that I tweeted it the other day, the fact that he hasn't been nominated in the top 3 players of the season is a massive damning indictment of his drop-off in form, and it's just such a shame because he's everything. But he's just a kid, isn't he? And I think you've got to give him a certain level of respect and say, actually, maybe you just get bogged down. And actually, in a team like this, you can do. And there's been times, even in the last half of the season, I don't think he's been terrible. I think he's tried as hard as he can. I think it's difficult for a player like that where I still think that he's a player who's best served standing on the shoulder of defenders and trying to get through. And I think that can lead to not being involved in games for vast swathes of it when you're not playing well enough. But that he hasn't looked the same player, unfortunately, for whatever reason. But I do love him.
I agree. I mean, I'm torn on this whole player of the season thing, just because I'm thinking sort of from a COV perspective here. So our player of the season, now it's all going to be about Chris Stokes and the defenders and stuff like that, and that winds me up because of how good we were first part of the season. But then the flip side of the coin is serves them right. Those. For the second part of the season, they haven't done it at all. Murphy, Armstrong, any of the attackers really just haven't turned up second half of the season, and it's kind of like it's almost like they felt like the season was done and they'd achieved already. So I don't really want them to. Part of me, just because I'm a vindictive guy like that, doesn't want them to be rewarded for it, just because it's like, well, you went missing for most of the season when we really needed you.
I understand that. I feel really sorry for Armstrong just because if you look at the first half of the season, I think you tend to forget how many times Lemaire played at the start of the season, especially with Jim O'Brien, and both of those. And it's quite odd, like, with thinking about Maddison. Maddison isn't really the sort of player who looks for that pass like Lemaire and Jim O'Brien do. And that's one of the things that was springing Armstrong were passes, especially from Jim O'Brien. I mean, it's no consequence that St Jim O'Brien's gone up. The number of goals we've scored has declined dramatically. But also the number of goals that Armstrong has scored has declined dramatically. I mean, the only goals he's really scored were the 2 against Bury, but they were the sort of balls that he was thriving off earlier in the season when we released him one-on-one. And Murphy doesn't, that's not Murphy's game, is it? Murphy's not looking to play that pass. So, and then you got Winslow, who's not trying to play that pass, and Marcus, God bless him, would never see that pass in a million years. So, I just feel with Armstrong, we've taken away his supply line. Murphy, yeah, I'm not. I like Murphy. I'm not sure how far he can go in his career. I'm not sure how much he has it in him. To be honest, it's not even he doesn't go in for challenges. It's the way he flips in and out of games. It's whether or not he's got the drive and personality to be effective for 90 minutes for 30, 40 games on the bounce. I know this is his first full season. I really like Murphy. I'm just not sure. I don't see a future Premiership player there. With Armstrong, I think if Newcastle get relegated, I could see him bagging quite a few in League One in Championship if they go for it. But again, it's a big responsibility to play a player of his ilk directly through the middle at League One because he's not that physical. I don't know if that's going to hold him back and people are going to start using him on the wings like we've wasted him on the wings.
Or play him in his natural position, number 10.
Yeah, which is just...
I thought you were going to say left back.
Yeah. Can we wrap this up?
Yeah.
Right, let's do some small Millwall preview. They are in 5th, having recently overtaken Gillingham. I thought Millwall were destined for 6th, but apparently Gillingham are dropping off a little bit. They're 4 points clear of Barnsley, who, and I know this should be the wrong thing to say, I do hope they get in the playoffs, because it feels like they've had like the opposite season to us, haven't they?
Yeah.
And actually, do you know what? Actually, fair play to them for having the gumption for picking it up and getting there and everything.
Did you see that we can still finish 3rd?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, yeah.
And yet we're already dismantling the season.
Yeah, everyone's already on holiday.
Mm.
The success of Millwall looks to be chiefly, in no small part, down to the goals of Lee Gregory and local hero returned in Steve Morrison. They've got, these are one of the few teams, the notes of interest player-wise, they've got the player that, Shane Ferguson, who was the player that Joe Kinnear scouted despite him being a club, who's a left winger, who I think he saw playing for Birmingham on loan and tried to sign him. They've got Najim Abdu, who is a midfielder that I like, but I can't tell you anything more than that. I can't remember. I know he's bald, really bald, but I can't remember whether he's a wide player or a central player, but I've seen him play before and remember liking him. And they've got David Ford in goal, who is pretty good. Except when he's conceding 4 goals against us earlier in the season. I've got to try and not think about that 4-0 back in August, because it's
too sad, isn't it?
It's just too much to bear. That'll do, I think. Oh, form-wise, they've got the form of a team in 5th. Get with it, dummy. Right, we're not doing predictions. If you want to get in touch with us, email is neelamptyshow@gmail.com. Twitter is @neelamptyshow. Thanks for listening. We'll probably be back next week. One love. Bye. Oh, yeah, say bye, Neil and Paul.
Bye.
Bye.
If we go through this next season, you get into the point of what's the point? Because this is...
What did we gain?
Dying, and it's just sickening.
But you can't be that bothered about about missing the Bradford game. That must have been. You say it was because of work, but I bet you're not. I bet that was a pretty happy coincidence, right?
Well, no, I don't know. I just part of me sort of, well, should I bother going against Sheffield United? I can't be asked with a lap of honour. But I don't know. It's just almost like I want something to be happy about. I want a reason to want to go next season, other than I just go because I go. And I think that's why I'd like to have seen Ryan Haynes return, just because I'd rather see Ryan Haynes at left back than Sam Ricketts. It's just that part of you that's like, I'd rather see something to sort of boost the spirits. I'm sort of hoping that, you might see that out of one of the kids who comes on, but even then it's like, kids aren't going to get us promoted out of League One. Kids have never got anyone else promoted out of League One. Just, Moby going, oh, look at some of the signings that could have next season from the Premier League. You're like, great.
But they shouldn't
I'm going to discuss it with some of the senior players. Yeah, the ones who have been shit all season. Great.
But they shouldn't have given up.
Has took guy for a third season. Right.
They shouldn't have given up already, right? No. But if they have given up, why can't we see George Thomas play to the rest of the season? Or why can't we see... I know this is moot, and maybe we should have discussed this, although saying that I have hit record again because we're still going effectively. Why not put Basala Sambu in the team? Or why not? Do you know what I mean? But
give him a reason to want to stay.
Yeah, if you're going to give up at this point, why don't you do something productive rather than keep playing Sam Ricketts and keep playing fucking even Joe Cole to an extent? If he's going,
it sounds like they haven't. They have given up. And then people say, "Oh, you can't give up if you can't ask them not to give up if you're giving up." Oh, I'm giving up because they've given up.
Yeah,
it's not the other way around.
Well, after the Colchester game, Moby said it would appear the playoff push is petering out.
Yeah, your playoff push, the one you're responsible for. It's not some cosmic thing. It's your job.
Well, it's the fact they don't. It's the fact they don't appear disappointed. I don't know. It's the you read into it. When Sam Ricketts was like, "Well, I think we've overachieved," you're like,
massive message.
We're 13th in League One. We're 20 points behind the team that are going to win the championship. I know we could still finish third. If we lose on Saturday, then with 4 games to go, we can't even get in the playoffs. I know we're talking about we can't anyway. I know we can't. But at no point at the first half of the season did I think we'd be in the bottom half of the table with 5 games to go. Inconceivable. Yet no one seems that bothered by it. No one seems that angry about it because it's better than last season.
That Ricketts message was terrible. Even though we all know I bet they just sit there, they don't really know what they're saying, it's all platitudes, it's all stuff. That message, that idea, that it just shouldn't have been in his mindset or his lexicon or anything. He shouldn't have been able to say that thing. And the fact they did say it was just, we're going to pick up on that because that was terrible. At that point in the season when we should have been fighting for promotion, still fighting for automatic, and he was already finding reasons to believe that we'd had a good season regardless. It was just, that's your captain. Terrible.
And that's why I think you've got to be very careful who we bring in the summer. We've got to be bringing in people. And the managers we've had since we got relegated from the Prem, we've had Peter Reid, who's won promotion to the Prem, Mickey Adams, who's won promotion to the Prem, Ian Dowie, who's won promotion to the Prem. They're all managers who are no longer employed anywhere in football. And then you've had, Chris Coleman is now Wales manager. Andy Thorne. Stephen Presley, who was quite highly thought of, won a cup with Falkirk. And since he's taken over at Fleetwood, has won more points with Fleetwood than we've won.
Good start.
Which is just fucking ludicrous.
Yeah.
People say, don't they, who are you going to get? Who's going to get better than Moby? But if this is what Moby does with the players and everything he's had afforded to him, what's it matter? I mean, we're so obsessed with having a name or someone who we know. We get fucking Mickey Mellon in. I'd have him just because his name. A better, just a funny name. Not because he could be a better manager. It's like we're so snobbish about who we should be bringing in. Oh, it's got to be a name. It's got to be somebody who's done it before. But Mowbray is the perfect name, apparently, and this is what he's managed. So unless you're going to get in Mourinho, then just get someone. It doesn't really matter, does it? Get someone in who's on the up, someone who knows what they're doing.
Well, that's the thing. It's like Moby had a good season at West Brom. That's fine. That was, 8-9 years ago now? I wouldn't be surprised if we brought Ishmael Miller in the summer.
It's going to happen, isn't it?
Yeah.
Neil Clement.
Marc-Antoine Fortunet's regen. Can I make a quick point on overachievement? There's something that only occurred to me a couple of minutes ago, which is that people are assessing the league position and whether it's an overachievement or not based on two things. What happened this season, or last season, or recent seasons' league finishes. And I think the suggestion amongst people that I think frankly are insane, that they go for the latter and judge it on previous league positions. The suggestion is that improvement in it that would see us go from near the bottom of the table to mid-table sort of stacks up as something of an overachievement. What it doesn't take into consideration is the years and years and years of drastic underachievement that have seen us in the positions that we've been in. That's not our... I know we've been in there, but that's not our position. We're not a club of the size of a team in League One who ferrets around. That's absolutely abominable underachievement for a club of this size. Just because you've been in that position and then you come a couple of league places higher isn't some God-given thing that you should be thankful for.
But people feel happy. They've adapted. Oh, we're League One. This is where we are now. It doesn't mean it's good. You can't just be League One and accept it. We're not. Imagine when we're in a Premiership. The idea of being in League One. It's just dreadful. I
can't. I think it's galling, the idea that that you'd say, yeah, but if we finish 13th, that's still a lot higher than last season. Do you know what? Actually, last season we finished 17th, I think.
Yeah.
It's not even that higher than last season.
No, it's not. It's a Chris Coleman type of improvement, which he wasted 3 years of our lives with. It's not good enough. It's bollocks. It's just making up a reason to try and be happy when there's nothing there to be happy about.
And it could we could finish 20... I know you said it earlier, but you said we could finish third. We also finished 21st, yeah.
Oh, God.
And I've got a feeling that that if it's closer to 17th, which it looks incredibly likely to be at this point of the season, be very, very interested to hear people talk about the improvement that we've had then.
They'll forget about that. It will go straight back onto Sisu. Oh, we haven't had the investment. That would just be the mantra.
Anyway, if I told you how disheartened I am by Joe Cole playing defensive midfield.
I think so, yeah. I think we should go home. Oh, we are home. That was quick. Yeah. Let's wrap this up. That's a poor joke, but a Simpsons reference. I'll be clear on that. Go on.
Does this feel... Obviously, I know you two are wee pups and you didn't go through the relegation for the Premier League.
I did.
Did you?
Yeah.
No, I didn't think you had a season ticket that season.
Oh, I did. I was alert to that. Very much so.
I had a season ticket the season we went down.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
All right.
I had a gap in between. I had one there and I had a big gap in between, yeah.
How bad?
Oh, no, sorry, I tell a lie. The first one I had was the first one in the Championship, sorry.
How, in a scale of obviously disastrous seasons, how low do we put this one?
I know it's too easy because it's happening to us now, but I can't see anything because it's the sheer drop of expectation, or my own personal expectation of what I thought was going to happen, to now. It's well up there, because even the Premiership, we were bad all season, so you're almost prepared for it, and plus win the Premiership, plus you still get to watch us play Man United, all that sort of shit. This year, I was fully prepared to be promoted. We were that good. Even though the other years when we've kind of had little fleeting moments, in the Boothroyd years, we were never too sure, and I thought we were sort of stumbling away through the season. We were never brilliant. This year, we were brilliant. We were the best team in the league for 4 months. And then to go down this far is just... Where'd you change it? Because now I can't enjoy next year. Even if we play exactly the same as we did this year for 4 months, still can't enjoy it. Because it could still happen again to us. It's just...
The only two periods that I can remember as being reasonable, apart from the first half of this season, was the Boothroyd, and that was only until October, really. It wasn't even like it was a pronounced period of time. and then the Presley season with the points deduction.
Oh god, the Sixfield one, where you weren't allowed to enjoy it.
Where no one was allowed to go, and we had the best home-produced player pre-James Maddison scoring goals for fun, but in front of 1,000 people. So we have been joyless, but I think you make a really good point about previous seasons and how you sort of your expectations are. When we went down from the Championship, we had Andy Thorne in charge, and we were wank anyway. And then we sold Lukas Jukovic in January, and we got no money, and we were only going one place, weren't we?
Yeah, we knew it.
We could have stayed up because of them games that we had at the end, but we were wank and we just went down. I don't think anybody was surprised. It didn't recognize. It wasn't like. It wasn't, even though it's a drastic underachievement, it weren't like we weren't there at the start of the season. Like, we could have a right tilt at this, weren't we?
Yeah, and that was lack of investment. I mean, you remember what we were doing.
Of course,
That was clearly, but they even openly said, look, we've got no money to throw at this.
Yeah, they just bled the club out, didn't they? That was Dan had gone, Fox had gone, Jukovic was the final nail in the coffin. I think he got 9 goals pre-Christmas, hadn't he? And then they just jettisoned him. Although interestingly, did anyone see about how that situation played out?
No.
If he'd have gone in the summer before he scored those goals, his replacement, apparently, that was sat in a car waiting, would have been Troy Deeney.
Really?
Yeah, apparently. That was as done a deal as can be. That was Troy Deeney that said this. He said that he was waiting to join Coventry.
Wow.
He said it hinged on They said that the deal was wrapped up, assuming that Jukovic went, and then he never went.
Oh God! Do you know who else we were going to get?
Troy Deeney
Danny
the career he's got on to have, though, does it?
Well, no, of course not. Go on, Neil. Who else was?
We were getting in Danny Drinkwater at that beginning of that season as well.
Really?
Yeah, on loan.
But to your point, Paul, we'd have ruined them both. Troy Deeney played out of the right wing within 3 games.
That is the thing. You look at the game on Saturday, which is obviously the easiest point of reference, and you're like, okay, a left back is a square hole in a round peg, or round peg in a square hole. A
right back in a square peg.
Yeah. And then you look in midfield, and it's like, well, Vince Alone's just out of position, and then Armstrong's out of positions, and it's just. You look at the bench and it's like, or players who are available to moment, you're like, there's no reason why you're doing this. It's just, you're doing it because these are the decisions you've chosen to make.
Yep.
And I just, as I said, I know where you're coming from, and I sort of agree with you, but it's also a case of, I just love it if it had been like, Rayner Johnson getting injured had a massive impact on us. Or when we sold Madison, it had a massive impact on us. Because you do see that where it's like one player, their goal scorer gets injured. It's like, where are you going to get goals from? There's not been that for us this season. There hasn't been that one cataclysmic impact from anything. No. It's just been death by 1,000 substitutions.
I quite like that.
And I just look at it and it's almost, as I said, it's the denial of Moby coming out, it's the same attacking unit. No, it's not. It's, you've changed it. You had something that was really good and you've changed it so much you can't remember what you had. And just seeing that ebb away from that team that was so dynamic and you looked at the team and you were like, you're better than this division. You're better than this division.
Yep.
Shit, we've signed Joe Cole. This season is the highest point we've got to, the highest we've been in the league table since like 1967 at this point. And then to fade away with 4 wins in 23 or 4 wins in 24, whatever it is. And just then to reel off a load of lame excuses.
Sackable.
Need to interject here because you guys are missing out on something very important, and I'm going to point this at Paul particularly. I've just seen the closest that football has come to basketball. I'm watching the highlights from or it might be happening live, from Sevilla Atletico Bilbao's penalty shootout. And and as the guy from Sevilla, I think it is, has just gone to walk up from the halfway line, the Athletic players fucking psyched him out as he's gone. It's all kicked off. What's it, on the halfway line? He's gone up and he scored the winning penalty, but the guy tracks him for about 10 yards. You can see him catcalling him and everything. I just hope that he's going, Steve Perry.
I slept with your mum.
Hey, severe player, I heard you want to slip a squeak. Yeah, he scored it, and what's it? It's all gone mental, as you can tell.
You've watched that film, did you say, Neil?
Yeah, well, you guys reference it so often, I thought I'd give it a go. So I watched it on the way to New York. I think it's one of those films you probably have to watch a few times.
I think more than that. I think you need to watch it when you were 10 years old, when your humour was acclimatised to our fucking. I mean, it's a bad film, but I've seen it. Like you say, I've seen it a million times when I was younger. It's just it's one of them fucking culty, whatever films. Yeah, we should have mentioned to you. Don't watch it.
I was feeling left out. All these references. I was like, yeah, let's give it a go.
Steve Perry. Yeah, full on actual psych out. Right, come on, let's call that.
Yeah, good talk.
All right.